Thank you, and it's very sweet of you. Appreciate that. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for having me this evening. That was a beautiful prayer tonight on the Patricians. So it sounds like you guys have formed that group and have had it for quite some time. And hopefully it's bringing meaningfulness to your lives. I know we're involved in the church that I'm involved in, and we have an evangelization team that sounds very similar to what you do here. And it's very inspiring. And we like to pick topics. And a lot of times we'll do videos. And Bishop Barron is a favorite of ours, and we like to just take that in and have a topic and then discuss it. So it sounds like something similar that you do here. So thank you for inviting me. It's certainly a privilege. It's especially warming to me. My sister Jenny is here, and Jenny was with St. Veronica, I think when they first started, Jen? Yeah. So and she was here for quite some time. So it's particularly neat. I will say I was, this opportunity came up. I was out vacationing in the Outer Banks, and Tim Russo of your parish ran into me, and I had provided some books down in the Outer Banks to give vacationers, to give them something to think about while they're on vacation. And Tim had come up to me afterwards and asked me if I would come up and talk, and I was honored to do it. And then when he told me that it was with St. Veronica's, it made me stop and think a little bit. I said, I think my sister works. So a little bit about what the topic at hand is tonight, and that's how the Holy Spirit works. You know, the Holy Spirit works in our lives in so many different ways. And a lot of times it's just us paying attention a little bit sharper and seeing how the Lord encourages us to help other folks, help ourselves become better people, and that's really a lot about what the book Trust God's about. I will tell you that I'm not a theologian or an author by trade by any means. I think when I first started putting this book together, it was down when the real estate market was crashing, probably back in 08, 09, 10 in that era. And with 5 young kids at the time and having a lot of demands at work, the last thing I would have had on my mind was writing a book. But I woke up in the middle of a dream, and the Lord had inspired me to write a book. And I tell you, I just really wasn't buying it. So I didn't think I was up for it. I didn't think that was the sort of thing I could do. So I really challenged it. And I said a prayer. And I said, Lord, if this is what you really want me to do, I'm going to need a stronger sign, because I just, I don't think I have that in my wheelhouse. And it wasn't but a night later that he gave me the title of the book in a dream. So I said, all right, I guess I better get going on this. So I then proceeded to really carve out time of the day and I'd get up early. I'd spend weekends, and before all my kids got up. You know, I would just get up in the morning and I'd say a prayer. And I'd just say, what do you want me to write about today? And I would just sit in quiet and peacefulness, and I'd wait for a topic to come up, and I would just start writing. And it took me a long time just because of everything else I had going on in my life. But my point would be is, when you listen and you hear the inspirations that the good Lord gives us, you don't ever think about what that measurement results in. And so I was very blessed and fortunate to be able to put that together. I've had a lot of neat things happen to me along the way. Some people find it funny that or interesting that I had Lou Holtz as a endorsement on the book. And just as a little side story on that, when I was getting to the point where the book was finished, I had it edited, it was almost pretty much ready to go. And my editor and publisher said, hey, you need to go out and get some endorsements. So I said, oh, okay, that's fine. How do you go about doing that? And he said, well, do you have some stretch endorsements? I'm like, oh, yeah, but they don't know me. And so I was out at a college reunion, and while I was out there, they let me speak about my book, and so I gave a little talk about it. And afterwards, this a football player had come up to me, and I knew who he was. He was a transfer from Yale, and he had come in, and he was a great inspirational guy himself, and he was talking to me, and he said, so what do you got to do next? And I said, I've got to find some people to endorse the book. And he said, well, great, I really enjoyed hearing your talk tonight, and And I said, well, what are you doing this weekend? He said, well, tomorrow I'm going into Chicago to meet with Coach Holtz. And he had played for Coach Holtz. And I just started laughing. And he said, what are you laughing at? I said, well, he's my stretch endorsement. And he said, is that right? And I said, you know what? I think you're supposed to ask Coach Holtz if he'll endorse my book. And he said, he goes, wow. He goes, I love it. He said, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And he said, I'll do it. And I said, you will? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, great. He said, now how do I get a hold of you? And I said, I'm not going to tell you. And he said, what? And I said, that's how this journey has been for me, that these doors just keep opening. I don't know how it works, but the Holy Spirit is guiding me on this. So you just ask Coach Holtz, and we'll see what happens after that. He goes, I love it. That's great. So it was about a month or so later. I was at my desk working, and all of a sudden I get this email from Coach Holtz, and it's an endorsement on the book. And I'm like, thank you, Holy Spirit. Wow. It was pretty neat. So, I think the point on that is, as you live your life, just paying attention to the things that go on in your life. I know for me, going through this experience and having some of the different topics that I've been inspired to write about, I just was trying to keep it simple and thinking through how do you make a difference not only in your life, but the lives around you. And I think God calls us to do that. And you can look at where you are today, and you can look at where we are in society right now. And the good Lord needs people like here, who are here tonight and who are watching this. He needs us. He needs us to help the other people in our communities, our families, that have either are discouraged, feeling neglected, or their rights aren't heard, or whatever it may be. We're living in a society right now that it can be difficult for folks. And I think the Lord is calling a lot of us to go out there and make a difference. And I think when you're willing to stop and listen and read, I think one of the things I have learned through this whole exercise is just becoming better educated. I'm a big Bishop Barron fan. I can't watch enough of him. He's a great presenter, and he gives you something to think about all the time. And so I look for a lot of inspiration from him. Father Schmitz, he's pretty good, but I've just found myself trying to find more podcasts to become better educated. Because I think, as Bishop Barron would say, if you become better educated, you have a better opportunity to influence the people around you, because you have more depth and you have a better understanding, and you have a chance to inspire people. So I love to try to inspire folks. I love being in different groups. I'm in the men's group. I'm in an evangelization group. I'm in some charity groups, Catholic Charities, and some other organizations. And I would just encourage you to stop and say a prayer. I find spending peaceful time by myself, asking God, what do you want me to do today? Is a great inspiration. And if you're paying attention, he'll either do that for you through inspirations. He'll do that by putting people in front of you that need your help. I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody just call me out of the clear blue, or somebody has mentioned somebody's name. I'm like, all right. Somebody told me that name for a reason. I better call them up. I haven't talked to that person in a long time. And I'll call them up and say, how you doing? Only to find out, they're having a tough go in their life. And so to sit and listen to somebody going through a tough situation and helping them get through that, I think those are the things that God tries to encourage us to do through the Holy Spirit. So one of the things that I enjoy doing is to do that, sitting in a quiet room. And sometimes it can be driving. I'll be driving I'll have plenty of time to drive home tonight. I'll turn the radio off for a little bit and say, what do you want me to do? What guide me, and don't let me be blind by what you want me to do. And when you become more observant in your environments, I will tell you that your heart will be filled with even more peace than you have now. And the joy that you can walk away with, and that you can provide to the people that you're interacting with, it's very rewarding. And so that a lot of that gets back to trusting God. And this theme of trusting God, it's and through the inspirations through this book, it's really about your day-to-day lives. How do you inject God in your day-to-day life? Whether that's through your relationships, whether that's through just attending Mass or attending fellowship with other folks, making work environments better, making family environments better. It's not always easy, but try to encourage yourself to spend a little bit more time in those areas and try to make the lives around you better, and ask the Holy Spirit to do that for you. And then pay attention. Don't be surprised to walk down the hallway here and bump into somebody that you don't even know, but might be a problem, or in the grocery store, or in your family. Look for how God is trying to put people in your life that you can help them out. Because again, you folks would not be here tonight if you weren't interested in becoming a better person and learning more about how Jesus is inspiring us to live our days and our lives. So I was watching Bishop Barron yesterday on his homily, and Jen had sent something over to me on the car ride up. It was great. And I said, yeah, he had a great message. He had incorporated trust in his faith, which I thought was great. And Jen said, yeah, but did you catch the phrase that he had at the end? And I said, well, I don't remember it. So if I cheat and I have to take a peek, I just want to share it though, because it's really it talks to the message at hand, and that is your being increases by the amount and measure that you give. So your essence as a person and as a being increases by the measure you give. So I thought that was pretty profound, and like Bishop Barron always does, he gives you something to think about. So I love nothing more than to read something, be in a group, talk to folks, hear what other people have to say. That causes me to stop and say, what does that mean to me, and what am I going to do about it? And I think that's the life we're living right now. I think we're in times that says, what are we going to do about the times that we're living? We need more inspiration. I think you're starting to see more people reach out to God. I think they're looking for a way to improve their lives, and there's nothing better than to ask God to help and to try to inspire other people through that. So I hope the book gave some thoughts and ideas on that. I know I've been inspired along the way to try to, one of the guys that was editing it for me. Again, I wasn't a writer, so I had to find a friend of mine, and that also opened the door that I didn't think was there. It was a guy that I know really well. He does a lot of charity work and runs Save Charities. And I had asked him if he knew, hey, I need an editor. I had gone up to Notre Dame and asked them if they would edit it for me. And they looked at me like, you got a lot of work to do, man. Go find somebody else to at least cut it down for you. I'm like, okay, great. So I ran into this guy and just had asked him, hey, you know anybody? He goes, you know what? And he was a big publicist. He goes, I do that a little bit on the side. And I was like, is that right? He said, yeah. So he helped me through it. And he was great. He took all of this. He just said, you need this, and that, get that out of here. And he brought it all together. And it was just a blessing. And he really inspired. He had some nice contacts for me, and was able to get the book to come together. So as I put it together, he said, you got a couple of stories in here, but you really need more. And so it made me stop and reflect on topics to say, how do you impact? How do you see other people being impacted by some of the topics that I have here? So I know that was a blessing for me to share some of my personal stories. I hope they were well connecting the thought that I was trying to convey in just how you live your everyday life and trust God with your decisions and influence the lives around you. So I forget how much time you told me to talk, but
you have a few minutes, or if you want to open it up to questions,
okay.
you're covered. Yes.
I will share this. Jen brought it up on the way up here, so I thought I'd share it again. One of my particular stories that I like was when we grew up in Northern Virginia here, Jenny and I and our family, and we used to have to go to these retreats. And I remember my parents would send us, like, I don't want to go to this retreat. You got to be kidding me. You're in high school. I don't want to go do that. And so, but you were made to go, and so you went. And I don't know if they still do that around here, Jen, but they had in the form of, if you're familiar with Palaka, And I didn't know what it meant at the time, and so I went, and it's basically giving something up for another while you're going through your retreat. And so I really found that inspiring. And so fast forward years later, our dad had cancer, was dying of it. We knew he was going. His time was limited, and so I had gotten inspired about Plaka. So and I have this in the book. So if I'm repeating the story, I apologize. But I thought, I'm going to carry this a pebble in my shoe and just help me remember my dad, what he goes through every day, the fight and struggle. And so I did it, and then I wrote him a letter, told him what I was doing and that sort of thing. And I then caught up with him a couple of months later when he was kind of getting near the end, and we went for a ride. And I basically say, hey Dad, I don't know if you remember, but I did a Blanca, and he said, oh yeah, I forgot about that letter. I'm sorry, I never responded like that. That's okay, but I want to give you the stone now. And I took it out, and he was like, you've been carrying that thing around? I was like, yeah, but I mean, it's nowhere near, what you're going through. And my dad's a big, tough, guy, and was a Marine, a captain in the Marines, and it was probably one of the only times I saw him wet. And so it really hit you in the heart. But it made me stop and say, that's what you can do for other people, and you can light lights in people, and to try to inspire them. And so one of the things I try to do now is I like to try to do that now, is just do palakas for people and let them know that you're thinking about them. And if coming from Northern Virginia, if you guys still do that up here, I would say it's never, it's nice to do that as much as you can. During Lent, I try to do that a lot and try to pick somebody out every day. I'm doing some form of a plaka for somebody, and then writing them a note. And I would tell you that the feedback I get is really encouraging. So if there's a little bit of a takeaway, I'd say, think about that. During Lent, think about some form of a plaka that you're comfortable with. Doesn't have to be a stone, but it can be something where you, and then write someone a note and say, hey, I was thinking about you today. I offered this up for you, and I'm saying prayers for you. And I think you'll find it really inspires the people in your lives, and maybe encourages them to do the same. So I'll wrap up with that from Sharon's story.
Thank you. So we'll